Hello everyone, Jobexi here, and welcome to Let's Play the Talos Principle. Man on the Moon doesn't use the one thing I would expect it to. This uses a bunch of those, but it's inside. Okay, I don't even know what good that would do. It's probably my best bet. Is there a third one? Wait a minute, what's back there? Alright, we've got some high-grade weirdness going on. That's probably just a place I got a jammer or something. Oh, did I do stupid? Oh yeah, I did. I didn't brain correctly. Back there is the larger main area. What's this one called? The tomb. There is a star here. This area is called Moonshot. How many puzzles utilize the light? Babe. Didn't I read you? Here's what I've been wondering while you were off carrying out commandments. You suggested that consciousness is not a part of the same world as ordinary physical things. That means you can't weigh it, you can't throw it around, or can't cut it into pieces. It's completely beyond the laws of physics, right? Right. Good. Now, the library is fairly consistent on the view that physical events are caused by other physical events. If you move your legs, it's because of the interaction between your neurons and your nervous system. But if consciousness is beyond the laws of physics, how can happiness physically make you jump for joy? Right, it can't. It just feels like it can. But do you see that to explain your, dare I say, hastily constructed belief system, you have rather thrown the baby out with the bathwater? Consciousness that does nothing at all is hardly consciousness as you claim to know it. Would you like to stick with that line or reel your neck in? I'll stick. Be it on your head, still the alternative.
Do not think I know not the deceiver slithering through the hidden words. His wisdom is hollow and born of despair. Do not let him tangle you in his webs of delusion. Have faith in me, and his petty illusions will fall away like nightmares in the morning's light.
How consciousness can be so intimately familiar to you and yet so obscure, I just don't understand. Yeah, don't mind him. He's just worried that if you ask too many questions, you'll start to see through his shtick. Stick with me, and the sky will quite literally be the limit. At any rate, I'd like you to think a bit hard about all this. Get back to me. I'm sure there's still progress to be made. Huh. Why now? There's still a star to be obtained. The only two puzzles that use the lights are that one and this. And I can collect the light from the moon from here. That wasn't very productive or smart. There's the jammer. I don't know where I left the jammer. Okay, I have to be fairly pushed up though for that to do anything. I don't know if I have enough, well, if anything really, to make that work. I don't need to receive. I don't need to put out to the moon. I need to receive from the moon. I could do that. That's easy. I don't know yet where I'd put it, but I can do it. I think all that was actually just to get my jammer back. Alright, I can collect from the moon. Oh. Oh, it's a receptacle. Well, that might just be an Easter egg. Right, an Easter egg that was very clever and doesn't give me a star. nothing outside there. Very fancy Easter egg, very clever, and doesn't give me a star. But the earth quakes. Does anything different happen here when the moon turns round? And that's an obelisk proper. Higher ground, there's nothing fancy about this. Can I disable anything on the moon? I guess it's even acceptable in the context of the story to have the Aperture Science logo because Portal 2 is a part of Earth's history, and this is an archive of Earth's history. So I guess that even that makes sense. In some context, anyway. I don't know. Anybody have any guesses as to where the star might be? I mean, if I have to go to the moon, I don't know how easily I'm going to be able to do that. Can't do much from up here. It's a very small area. Very few things outside of the puzzles can interact. I mean, I at this point I don't feel any shame if I were to look it up. See what the puzzle is. Is there something back here somewhere that I meant to see? Yeah, there's nothing else in here. And I already did the thing that ordinarily would give me a star. Shooting outside of bounds of puzzles. These are things which are typically very clever. Alright. I'm going to see what I can find, just to see if I'm missing any pieces to that, because if I am, well, That's on me, but... Alright, so B1. I've already gotten the star at B1. B2... Okay, I'm missing something that I probably never would have found. I could have been here another 3 hours. Ha! That's dumb. It's not bad though. It's not a bad dumb. It's your standard garden variety dumb. Okay. Well, that's not a big deal. I just never would have found it. Oh! That's very cool. Now that I know where the star is, I know what I can do. Where's the other one? Do I have 2 of these? I do have 2 of these. Oh, the other one's right here. Oh, I need the, I'm just gonna get all my important pieces. Yeah, so sometimes, like, I know how to solve the puzzles, I just don't know where the puzzles are. In my opinion, well, it's not actually an opinion. It takes a different set of intelligence to find the puzzles rather than to solve the puzzles. And my personal preference is the solving thereof rather than anything else. Okay, I need to go back here and fix this one. It's very clever that I shot the moon and I got the thing, but apparently it's not clever enough to count as being worth a star. Egyptian tombs, though, purportedly have secret passages in them, though, so that's kind of a cool thing that they included that here. Okay, I should be able to collect it from here. I should be able to collect it from here. Excellent. Ding. Zone 2 complete. And I only had to cheat to find the secret passage. Huzzah! I count that a victory. I apologize if that's not very appealing to you as a viewer. To know that sometimes I'm willing to cheat to shave hours off the searching time. Feel free to leave some comments in the comment section about that. Alright, 4 puzzles, 2 of them are red level, and there's also a star. Nice and bright. Do we get to hear from Elohim again? Sounds like it might be windy. I guess that might be what wind sounds like in the desert. Alright, let's read Progress Report 9. The basic skeleton of the simulation is now running on L. It is not plugged into the AI system yet, but in theory everything's ready. I guess the next step is to test whether the generated scenarios make sense, or do we wait for the iteration model to do that? Osiris 3. The first wisdom, the scribe said to the dying man, is that a world is made of 5 elements. So is the soul of a man. Know therefore that in this life you are the heart and shadow and name, and also Ka and Ba. And without all these, you would not be a living being, but a thing. What is a man without a name, who cannot speak of himself? What is a man without a shadow, who is not anchored in the world? What is a man without a heart, who can neither feel nor think? What is a man without Ka, who has no essence? What is a man without Ba, who is not himself, but like uniform or unformed clay? Therefore praise Osiris, King of Eternity, the Lord of Everlastingness, the eldest son of the womb of Nut, he who traverses millions of years in his existence. Here the translator is clearly inserting his own beliefs onto the text as a just war. Democrates' Altar, or On the Just Causes for War Against the Indians by Juan Ginés of Sepúlveda. Written in 1547 to justify the Spanish conquest of the Americas. The Spanish have a perfect right to rule these barbarians of the New World, who in humanity are as inferior to the Spanish as children are to adults, women are to men, for there exists between the two as great a difference as I might even say between apes and men. Compare then these gifts with those possessed by these half-men in whom you will barely find the vestiges of humanity, who do not only possess any learning at all, but are not even literate and eat human flesh. Therefore, if you wish to reduce them, I do not say to our domination, but to a servitude a little less harsh. It will not be difficult for them to change their masters. You know, there's a lot in this, just these few short paragraphs, which indicates the atrocities that have been committed on this planet for thousands of years. The idea that one class of person is less than another class of person is foremost bigotry. And secondly, it is incredibly unkind. You know, there are a lot of things it says in here, such as barbarians of the New World and humanity are inferior to the Spanish as children are to adults, women are to men. Okay, so first of all, it's saying that the barbarians are inferior to the Spanish, which that's a bigoted statement. It says that children are inferior to adults, which is a bigoted statement, and that women are inferior to men, which is a bigoted statement. This notion that there can be a subclass of anything which is inferior in any but perhaps the most limited sense is incredibly unkind. And what I mean by anything but the most limited sense, for example, men are inferior to women at having children. Men can't bear children in a standard, barring anything very, very strange, men can't bear children. Men are inferior to women in that way. Now, that's not true inferiority in terms of inferiority of being. That's inferiority of skill or ability, which is not the same. It is not the same as inferiority in terms of humanity. Anything could be considered inferior to another thing in that sense. You wouldn't comb your hair with a chainsaw, you'd comb it with a comb. In that sense, a chainsaw would be inferior to the comb in the sense of the skill desired, which would be to comb one's hair. You also wouldn't try to cut down a tree with a comb. You'd try to cut it down with a chainsaw or something similar. And in that sense, the comb would be inferior to the chainsaw, because it fails to do that one thing. The idea of trying to hold everybody to a similar standard and measuring everybody by that fails to imagine us all complexly, and we lose out greatly as a species and as individuals when we allow that to happen. And that's what I have to say on that. Okay. Thank you so very much for watching this episode of Let's Play the Talos Principle. If you like what you see, you can click this button right here to be taken to the playlist. You can click my name to be taken to my channel, where you can check out my other content, or you can click subscribe if you like what you see to be notified when I produce more excellent content. Thanks so very much for watching, and I will see you in the comments.